So, Lymph is more established now. Do you think it gets easier to put together each year?
I think so. I think the first year, well, obviously it's 6 years now, so I think the first year it was kind of, a lot of people had expectations and thoughts of what it should be.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I believe it was kind of all over the place. It was like lots of really good stuff, but quite split. And what I'm happy about this year is that I feel like, because it's just the park, I've been able to kind of bring everything into that space and basically make one collective comment about Lymph and what it is. So within that space, you don't see, not everything's not split up. You get to see loads of different genres on one stage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or loads of different genres over the 4 areas of music, quite simply. And I think that's what's become easier for me. What's become harder is there's a level of expectation every year.
Yeah.
And everyone will go, oh, 2015 was the best, or 2016 was the best. So that's a kind of a personal challenge. And then obviously we've got other challenges, bigger challenges, such as like the Liverpool City Council fund the festival, and the cuts that are occurring from national government and etc. is putting a squeeze on what we're able to do. Do you know what I mean? My budget every year has actually gone down.
Wow.
But I feel like every year the festival, I feel, has improved in terms of the artistic direction and content. So it's always challenging, but I'm grateful that it continues to happen, and I'm grateful that people continue to come and enjoy it.
So do you think people's expectations kind of make it more difficult, or do you strive off that and you use that as a energy, to make the festival better?
Well, you know what's weird? Like I go around and I judge on, like, so when the festival's happening last year, I go around and see how people react to stuff on the day rather than comment, because I don't really read comments and reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll go around, see how people enjoy it, and then I think I have a bit of pressure, but I don't feel pressure like to please a person or a group of people. I feel like I know what the crowd may like, and even I think I have the ability to put stuff that they may not think they like, but they may actually like. Do you know what I mean? So fundamentally, I don't really feel a real pressure for it, but it's a good amount of understanding. That means that I don't want to disappoint. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to fail in my duty to put together a good festival. Do you know what I mean? Whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. I think if you go to a festival and see the artists that you know and that you like, and then you go away with a few artists that you didn't know at the start of the day, but you're fans at the end of the day, I think that's when it's a really good festival.
No, I agree. I see it like straight. I see it like Spotify, right? The festival. So I see it like you go on Spotify for this artist that and and then you'll get a recommended artist, or artist will play. He'll jump to the next song in the playlist, and you hear something that you didn't know, and you'll like it or potentially like it, and that's what curation is essentially. Do you know what I mean? And even like if you go to an art gallery, you might go for the Basquiat thing, but then you go around the corridor and you see this other work, this beautiful piece of art, and then you go, oh, I'm interested in that as well. So that's what I hope that Lymph with access. Do you know what I mean? So when people see these names, you will still stumble, as you said, onto something that you didn't know, and you'll go away with those extra people you're fans of.
Yeah, I try and do that as a DJ. I think I like to, because then anyone can play the most popular songs of the minute.
Yeah.
I like to play something that's popular, something that everyone knows, and then every now and again throw in something that people might not know, but I think they might like. And then hopefully...
Well, that's the skill, yeah. That's exactly what a good DJ, a good curator, a good programmer, anyone is good at doing, is kind of just leading people a little bit further than what they're used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think people underestimate kind of actually how much work goes into putting all this together? And how long would you say, it might have varied year to year, but for instance, how long will it take you from start to finish this year to put the whole festival together?
Well, as a team, as the whole festival team, including their organisers and all that kind of thing, like the ones who actually do the event management, they work on it pretty much, 2 or 3 days a week on this specific project from, I'd say, September. So literally 11 months, including the events. And then I don't feel like I break, but I kind of, tiptoe around ideas. And around October time, I then start working hard on it. And then this festival, because there was quite a lot of changes near the last month, I pretty much locked that line up within a month. But I'm talking about like every single day 7 days a week
Yeah.
for a month, you know, working. And you know, there's loads of loopholes. There's things like budgets, obviously. There's things like, you know, you do this thing where you put an offer for an artist, and then before they even would look at it, they want to know who's going to be on the stage with them, but then you haven't got them confirmed, so you're doing the, and then you'll come back on the artist that you thought was going to be there, that was going to help you secure the one underneath. That artist there can't do it anymore, so then you've got to go back to that agent and go, well, that person's not doing it, but I'm going to think about this person, and they'll go, oh yeah, we'll go okay with that, or they might go, no, well then we want to be higher. So there's all these things that go on, and then when you're doing that over 4 stages,
wow, yeah, I can imagine.
you know what I mean? And then there's 250 festivals in the UK all trying to book these artists in the same space. And then you're doing it also with a local authority where they have different ways of paying things, different way processes. It can become a challenge, but you know, it's getting easier to go through that process every year. But it's not a process that I enjoy doing per se, in the sense of I love piecing together a lineup and making it work, and you get a bit of adrenaline rush when it all starts to fall into place. But it can become, if you're very emotionally in it, it can become very upsetting because you can be very happy one minute. Oh yeah, I've got Hacienda Classical, and then you go, okay, the other act I was trying to get before is support. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And because the problem with artists as well, it's not like for like. So if I had, okay, for instance, this year, if Hacienda Classical couldn't do it, there's no other Hacienda Classical I could get. So if I've planned the whole day to end with this house music live orchestra thing, I can't just replace it with another one, because there's only one other one that I know that exists, 2 other ones that exist. So if you haven't got the ability to do that, you can't. So you need to always be adaptable, do you know what I mean? And always be willing to kind of go, okay, I'm going to scrap that and throw it away and start again.
Yeah, so do you start with sort of like your first choice of artists, you know, this is like my ideal lineup, and then you work backwards, obviously, if people drop off or they can't make it or they're outside the budget, or how kind of year to year do you...
Well, that's how it works. What I basically do in, like, say, October time is I make the longest list on an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to give you the detail here. On an Excel spreadsheet where I'll literally go, these are all the artists that I think, not for me, but I think work for LIMF.
Yeah.
Fit our criteria, big fit, you know, our audience demo. I think they'll get, you know, and I look at that. So very rarely is it what I want to do, because it's not my festival. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I look at it and go, it's for the people who come and pay, and it's for the city. And so I take a step back, do that long list, and then I start putting a program together where I actually break down the stages and put times on and decide where I think everyone will go if it was that list. But each slot will have 3 or 4 different options on. And then what I'll do is I'll start from the top to the bottom. I'll go, okay, these are the ones I want to get first, these 2 or 3. And then we'll see how that falls. And then I'll keep going down. And then it is literally like a jigsaw. You know, I've got this picture where it's a face, but I'm missing an eye. And I need this eye. And I'm waiting. And then it'll, you know what I mean? And that's how I do it. And you know, slowly it starts piecing together. And then normally the last section of it, the last week or so, 2 weeks of the space I've got to book, things just start tend to just move there fast. I'll end up with a flurry of yeses. Like, I had a situation where I had like 2 artists I waited 4 months to get an answer from, came in within an hour of each other. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that was the day after I handed it in.
That was a great feeling.
Me, I think. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling, because it was like someone that I tried to get the year before as well. And I suppose that's where it's quite interesting, because if I never think about the process I went through, but if I look back, and then some people, it's like 2 years, 3 years in the works where I've gone, like Aurora, for instance. I wanted Aurora 3 years ago, and then I wanted her last year, and then, you know, this year finally happened. Do you know what I mean? So it's sometimes even a longer process. There's artists as well that I wanted, that, you know, we've got this year, that I knew that I had to do certain things 3 or 4 years ago to make them believe that they should perform at LIMF.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because I have to
build the reputation
to the point where, like, so a lot of the conversations I have now, people go, yeah, you know, I'm writing a big paragraph about LIMF and what it represents, and they go, we know LIMF, you know, you don't have to tell us about it. We know, because we bumped into Trevor Nelson and he said that he had an amazing time in Liverpool doing a festival. You know what I mean? So it in that way, but it is a process, and it takes me, I'd say, you know, I work on it for about 6 months of the year, I say actively putting it together, and then for the rest of the time leading up to the festival, I'm just kind of making sure all the wheels and all the teams, especially the marketing team, are kind of connecting with audiences and all that kind of malarkey.
Right, okay. So as music and trends change, obviously we're seeing a lot of new genres coming through. How do you balance between sort of picking established artists that are already familiar names and new or international artists that are on the rise?
I think with me and LIMF, it's quite easy because I look and go, I know our audience at LIMF aren't the most cutting edge. We want to see the new artists that nobody else knows. Do you know what I mean? I know that's not it. I know that LIMF, in terms of a thing, it's a party and it's a very big scale thing. So I'm like, I need populist artists or artists that have a populist appeal for the broad part of it. So even if I go to, I don't know, Mahalia, for instance, who's on main stage, or Notes, or, I don't know, Don Letts, you know what I mean? It's like these slots, these are still people that, a lot of people know about. Do you know what I mean? So my job is to kind of, build them and then end up with headliners that, like, people like Example, like you'll know Example song or you'll know Example, you know what I mean?
It's a household name.
The population. Yeah, so it's like, it's that balance, do I, personally, once again, there might be stuff that I'd want to do more so, there's certain artists like I have to look at and I'm offered and I look and go, oh, I'd love them, but I can't justify it because for the money that I have to pay, I'll have to put them so high up the bill, and I just don't think people will know them enough, so I've got to almost take a step back. But, I've got to do, I've got to work to what this festival is and not necessarily what I want to do, and I think that's why I've probably been able to survive so long doing the role, is because I don't really make it about myself or make it, oh, this has got to be international, this slot's got to be that. I'm just like, let it flow. What if it makes sense? Let's do it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's maybe one of my strengths, is that I'm not worried about doing stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense to other people. So, most people go, okay, Hacienda Classical, it's a classical thing. You can't really have Basement Jacks before them, and before Basement Jacks, you can't have Young Fathers because they're electronic hip hop duo, and before Young Fathers, you can't have a folk pop artist like Aurora. But I'm like, I think you can. Do you know what I mean? Because and that's where I believe the festival's kind of strongest point is that, once again, I can take a step back and program in a way that is best for the audience that attends and best for what we're trying to say as a festival, more so than what I want or any other restriction that could be forced upon me.
Yeah, I think that's probably
that's not the most long-winded answer ever, but yeah.
No, obviously you put in a lot of work into it, so obviously you need to get the word out there. I think that's going to be a strong point if you're trying to push the boundaries and maybe do what's not obvious, and not do what every other festival's doing. Then it's only going to work in your favour. And obviously you've had a lot of success up to now, so you kind of stick with the winning formula.
Because I like, people talk a lot about, will LIMF survive post 2018 and such and such, and we're being the most humble thing I can say is, like, I believe that what LIMF's very existence over the last 6 years has made the conversation change, definitely in Liverpool, about what festivals should be in terms of what type of artists, in terms of whether it's certain genres. Because, go back 6 years ago and tell me any festival that would be having grime on, or having hip hop, or having reggae of that scale. Do you know what I mean? And I'm talking about, you take Africa Oye out of it, because Africa Oye is for African music and reggae. None of the other festivals that existed were showcasing regularly high level, popular artists of genres that weren't indie and rock. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, like, LIMF comes along and does that, and we do house music, and we do, we partner with people, and we do stuff with MTV, and we do stuff with BET, and we do, you know what I mean? Jax Jones, the first festival he done was us in 2015. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, and I think we've been very good at kind of taking those gambles, and it kind of paying off. So hopefully it just continues, really.
Yeah. So in a recent report from Liverpool City Council, one of the issues raised was that Liverpool faces a lack of diversity within the city. Do you agree with that statement? And obviously,
I 100% agree, and I was one of the people in that respondents in that thing. But once again, if you look at LIMF and you look at the Lymph Academy, you can see that we're once again rebalancing that conversation. We've created a different conversation. If take Lymph out of it and take Lymph Academy out of it, the problem is dire. Put Lymph, look at Lymph's lineup and put that there, and you go, actually, it's not that bad. So I know that we're pulling a lot of weight in terms of making sure diversity is on the agenda. Do you know what I mean? And it may go to be the fact that I'm from a minority group, so I'm always going to be sensitive to supporting the booking of or the profile of quality artists of diverse backgrounds, and that's not just being black. I'm saying female, disabled artists from genres that aren't already well known. Do you know what I mean? I'm always going to be like, okay, everybody else is doing this. Everyone's doing loads of house music stuff in Liverpool, but no one's supporting soul. Okay, well, I'm going to put a bit more soul in this year just to have, because I know there's an audience for it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
It's that thing. So I think that report is very true. I think the diverse issue is bigger than what it probably come across in that report, because I think it was put there as like the third problem, and I think it's like the number one problem. Because when I look at the music that I'm in London now, and the music that's could change in the country is urban music, but you go to Liverpool and you would never know that's the case, because there's no trickle down of that. So I know that there's a massive step to make sure that we are cutting through and supporting artists that kind of reflect what's happening globally as well as internationally, as well as domestically. So I do agree with the report, and I'm anxious to see how we're going to make these changes. Not what changes are going to be put forward, but how we're going to make these changes. Because I think at one point, it's like that thing in it. You can lift up a rock and see loads of ants and all that stuff, but do you know how to kill them? Do you know how to get rid of them? Do you know how to stop them coming back? That's the challenge. You know what I mean? It's almost like we've shown that there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be a joined up approach. We need to have a music industry in Liverpool that's solid. Okay, well now somebody's got to do it, or a group of people have actually got to do it, which is a challenge in its own right.
Yeah, well, my next question was a two-part question, but you kind of touched on both of the questions in what you said. The first one was basically, what can Liverpool as a city learn from your festival, as in, on the diversity, as it relates to diversity? And the second question was, do you think it will ever change? As in, do you think people will, when, Lymph carries on to be more and more of a success, people will try and copy and emulate what you're doing? Or do you think this is, it's just going to be an ongoing problem, and will, maybe in 10 years' time, it'll still be the same?
What can people learn from Lymph? I think what people can learn from Lymph is sometimes I always think that my appointment doing Lymph was a massive step, and I think it's a bold step by Liverpool City Council, because I think them we'll go with this guy who's kind of come from youth culture and black music, and works in a very different way and has his own company, and we'll kind of work. We'll open this space up for him to do what he thinks best, and not hold his hand and just kind of go do what you need to do. As I say, the first year when I'm bringing Damien Marley over, that's a massive thing. Do you know what I mean? That was we're bringing MTV, or we're bringing, we're going to do this thing with AEG, and it's going to be Little Mix and JLS on the waterfront. Bear in mind, this is the same, team that worked on Matthew Street a year before. So it's a massive step. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's, just having, they allowed, and I give credit always to the City Council for this, they allowed me to have a very honest conversation with them, which wasn't, and I've got to admit, they were probably scared by a lot of the things I was saying, but they allowed the honest conversation. I feel like there's not enough honest conversations about diversity and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not enough, and I know why. It's because people feel awkward, and people feel like they've got to have the answer before having a conversation. Well, I don't think you need to have the answer. I think you just got to have the conversation, and then people can throw in ideas. So I think that's quite important. So that's what I think people can learn from it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and that, the biggest one, which is our theme this year, is like we can all coexist, and we can all connect over something mutual. So like when I look at the audience that comes to Liverpool, I'm like, all these people, we always say that all these groups of people from different parts of Liverpool, young people, older people, musos, non-musos, and all this can't coexist, but they coexist and live peacefully every year.
Yeah.
60,000 people a day. Do you know what I mean? There's no major issue, but for the longest we've been told we can't all, North and South Liverpool can't come together. Young black kids and young white kids can't go together. It's all stupid. Do you know what I mean? And I knew it because the way I've lived and the way I've grown up, it's factual that you can all mix, you know what I mean? So I think that's what people can learn from LIMF. Will it ever change? Once again, I feel like a real conversation needs to happen, and they need to put people in positions who kind of will be dynamic to make a change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, you know, what that LIMF has said, you know, they've put me in some kind of position, not the most influential position, but a position of some influence, and give me a blank sheet and give me support. And you know, if people look at LIMF and what's come of LIMF, I feel that's kind of a response to that. That's what's kind of come out of it. You know, once again, they're talking about a Liverpool music office. I think they need somebody who's going to go into the music office and go, I see this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to change this, we're going to connect this. You know what I mean? And if they do that, bring someone with vision and bring someone with passion and bring someone who's prepared to make other people come out of their comfort zone for the better of the city, I think things will change. If they don't,
they'll stay the same.
We'll just be ignoring a growing wound. That's all we'll be doing, Jeremy. And it's like, and once again, I work with a lot of new artists of different backgrounds and that. But if I take some of the artists from diverse communities, so I take someone like a Zambolo or a Sub Blue, you know, if the city doesn't sort itself out in terms of how they deal with these artists and how they deal with the infrastructure around these artists will just leave. Do you know what I mean? And truth be told, if LIMF didn't come around when it did, I would have left the city in 2013. So even whatever I bring to the table and whatever I bring to the city wouldn't have been there. So there's a talent drain. So unless these bigger issues get dealt with, you're going to just see talent leave. And then that means the city's just not as good. It doesn't have the personnel, it doesn't have the ideas, it doesn't have that. And that's what we can't see happen. It shouldn't happen, Jerry.
Yeah, I definitely think the talent is in the city. Obviously, LIMF has a lot of artists from other cities as well, but I definitely think as a city, Liverpool's got the talent. I just think the infrastructure's missing. You know, it's poor. It's poor, especially for a small city. But once again, it's never been a situation where somebody's gone, I'm going to get you round the table. Like, I've been to like other cities. You know, if I go to Hanover, I can ring a music office and speak to a music officer who knows every single person in the city. Liverpool's never had that. But what Liverpool's always had is great bands who just crack up and start playing and pop off. But they never had that structure where it's like, there's this thing, and Sound City's done an amazing job in their space. You know, Centric, Ditto Music, all the ad-lib. You know, they've done, but I feel like some point there's going to be something for the creatives and the I suppose the maverick people in between who are trying to get things moving. Do you know what I mean? Like, in trying to just get things happening and give people a platform. Like, I'll say to Christine, obviously KCC station manager, like, you know, KCC is a gem because it allowed us, when radio was locked off and no changes could happen, here comes a station that can let people go in and go, this is what I'm playing and this is what people want to listen to. And we need more of that across the board. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm obviously a living testament to that now. The fact that I'm interviewing you now and weekly I get to play the music that I want to play.
Yeah.
And obviously it's bigger than just me, but if this station didn't exist, then, you know, would I be putting the effort in? What else could I be doing with my time? There needs to be more, infrastructure or more opportunities. Because like I said, there's definitely the people out there that want to do it. I just think that, you know, there needs to be more.
A prime example is when people come to Liverpool and say to me, so what radio station there? And I say, Radio City, and they go, okay, where's your pirate radio? Where's your community radio?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, really, there's two in Merseyside. There's KCC and is it Wirral? So I'm going. So there's two. I can go to London. I can go to an area the size of Highton, and there'll be four.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference. Think about opportunity. You know, if you can go to a local radio station, either be a presenter, a DJ, or get your music played, you feel part of something. You feel like it's a community. You feel like there's a reflection of what you want. Now, so in London, there could be 100 pirate community stations, you know, legal stations, but underground legal stations. If in Liverpool there's 5, including 3 mainstream, nationally controlled programmed stations, then it's not really gonna feel like a community, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's gonna feel like you're almost like by the gods, national gods. They're telling you what you should watch and what you should, you know. And the way culture's moving, culture's moving the other way, where everyone's creating their own platforms, everyone's got their own Spotify playlist, everyone's got their own blog, everyone's got their own. So why is media and why is opportunity still one size fits all? That's where that's a problem. But once again, where someone like, you know, something like KCC Live's done very well of kind of plugging that gap and being something that is a little bit more reflective of real life and what's going on in youth culture now.
Absolutely, yeah. I know, obviously, just based off speaking to you and the things you've said, the festival, you know, it's not about you. You want to, you know, please the people. You've obviously coming across very selfless, but do you think you and others like you in the community, not that there's enough, but do you think you get enough spotlight? The fact of all this work you're doing, it's not really like you can look at anyone and go, I want to follow these footsteps. You're kind of, you know, creating a path. You're, you know, you've not got anyone to follow.
Yeah, but it depends. Yeah, it depends what you see. Because I look and go, the image of people I see myself in, and that's not, and this is not, I'm not on in this space, but I've always read a lot of books, so I'll look at, so, you know, I'll read about Russell Simmons, and I'll read about Rob Stone, who started Cornerstone in America, and the Fader, and I look at them PR and go, that's who I'm following their path. Not necessarily exactly what they've done, but in terms of kind of that energy and that ethos about building something that's bigger than you. You know, Russell Simmons built Def Jam, which is bigger than him, and when he left Def Jam still exists. It's still turning over millions and millions of pounds. So your idea is, I'm building something bigger than me. I loved hip hop in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up. In the 90s, really, when I really got into it, and what I realised is these people were building something that was bigger than them. They were building a culture that was bigger than any individual member. So I've always felt like that. I've always felt like a soldier. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt like it's just me on my own. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt like it's bigger than that. So I've never had that. Do I get enough spotlight? Once again, I don't know if the two things, like, I'm very much like with LIMF, I'll speak on LIMF because I think I'm the best person to speak about it, or I'll speak on any of my businesses because I feel like I'm the best person to speak about it. But that's only because I'm the best person to speak about it. But I want to get to a point where I don't have to speak and people still understand what it's about.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't want spotlight for spotlight's sake. And also at the same time, you know, when Christine calls me and goes, do you want to do an interview for the station? You know, we've got this young guy who started new, wants to do this. I'm going to do it because that's, to me, that's part of the whole cycle of things. I shouldn't, you know, if I'm going to give an interview to someone who's established on national radio interview, I've got to give you one too. I can't be, you know, it's got to be the thing. But yeah, I don't know, spotlight, you know, the best thing I've got, the best joy I've got is I can go to anything that I put on, whether it's for an artist to manage, whether here, London, wherever, or live, and I can walk around and pretty much no one knows me, and that's a massive joy because I can see people
enjoying
react
themselves
in an honest way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, for instance, Joe Anderson, that's the mayor who literally greenlights the festival every year. If he came to everyone with, you know, oh yeah, amazing festival, Joe, or it's rubbish, Joe, or whatever, whereas I can walk around and actually see what people really think of it and how people are experiencing it. I've been at times where someone's been talking about the festival and, oh, well, you know, they should change, and I can just call the head of culture and go, oh yeah, you know what, people didn't like this, because I'm really that guy, and I get the bus, I get the train, do you know what I mean? I drive, I you know, so I get real life. People don't know it's me. I get in taxis going to the festival, and I talk to the taxi drivers about the festival. Oh, we don't like it because, you know, we don't get enough money and we can't drive close to the festival. Oh, this is great, I get loads of money, and I'm here. They don't know who the hell I am.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of like not being in the spotlight,
right, okay.
as much as some people may not. Some people may want to be in it more, but
yeah, no, well, that's good. So obviously the lineup's looking massive again this year. Who are you personally sort of most excited for?
There's a couple of things. I think, you know, DJ Jazzy Jeff, which is maybe a polarizing one. You know, people think of Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince, but Jazzy Jeff like literally changed music, and is one of the most respected DJs in the world of any genre. And I think that's a massive one. Hacienda Classical, I think, will be a massive moment in Liverpool. I always enjoy Jax Jones, because even though I'm not the biggest house music fan, I think he's a massive showman, and he's got a special show planned for this year's festival. Trevor Nelson, awesome
legend.
Once again, yeah. So, you know, and then the DJ, like, it's so much, you know. I still haven't announced like the Liverpool kind of stage, the new music stage for Liverpool. So there's like there's loads, you know what I mean? I'm just, you know, the biggest excitement comes from how people react. You know, I know certain people have called me today, and I'm really excited for what's going to happen. And, you know, there's no better thing than that my family comes and, you know, I see my son goes to, you know, things. So, like, to see how those people enjoy a festival, and not just the lineup, but a festival in the, you know, the children's area and, you know, the fair and all that. It's great, isn't it? Because I don't think we have enough of these things that where people come together and just have fun, have a party for 2 days. You know what I mean? We need more of these things.
Definitely, and hopefully people will, you know, see the event, be inspired, and put more events on. So we'll briefly talk about, obviously, previously LIMF has always been a free event. Now we're, you know, moving forward with a £5 charge. So what made you choose to settle with that amount? And do you think, based off how good of an event it is, how much work goes into it, the level of artists that are going to be there, do you think it's underpriced? Because I'm sure people would pay a lot more.
I think it's underpriced.
Yeah.
But you know, once again, the dedication of the Liverpool City Council has got to making sure that good quality entertainment and art is there for everybody, regardless of how much income you have.
Right.
So it's like it's part of that ethos. That's what I said before about sometimes there's even wider things than what we think. Like, we've worked out that this ticket should be about £45-50 a day.
Definitely.
Really, and you know what I mean? Because you go to stay in the Classical at Castlefield Bowl, which is just Manchester. You're paying between £35 and £45 for a standard ticket to go and see them. Just under 10,000 people pay that every year to go and see that. So my point is, well, we're giving you that same show in the city, and Aurora, and Basement Jacks, and Young Fathers, and, you know, and the other artists that aren't even named, and Ray Morris, and, you know, Jazzy Jeff on the other stage, and Tim Westwood in the other stage. You know, all this stuff for £5. You know, I think it's a small price to pay. Or the other option is the festival doesn't happen. And I think people have got to actually realise that this is a real conversation. This is a real thing. You know, if we can make this work, you know, I think we can say that we'd have a LIMF going forward. But if we can't, if people, you know, almost go, okay, we're not paying, which I think we're cutting our nose off to spite our face, and understand that with that £5 charge, we're able to better make sure it's secure, because, you know, we're living in times where, you know, last year's LIMF, a couple of weeks before, there was bombs that have gone up, you know, different places. Right? You know, we're living in a time where security and safety is important. And I think, you know, Liverpool City Council, you know, first and foremost, want to make sure everyone's safe, and that we're controlling some of the potential antisocial issues that could occur. And I think, you know, putting a fence around it and charging a nominal fee is part of that change. You know what I mean? And sustain, as well as sustaining the festival.
Right, okay, yeah. Tim Westwood, that's probably who I'm looking forward to most. Obviously, I'm a hip-hop guy, I like house as well, but he's a legend, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's been to Liverpool in years. It's like, I can't remember the last time, so
and he's
that's a big one.
Year, he was meant to do it last year, and, you know, we had a conversation with his team, and it was kind of like, you know, we might not be able to do it this year, but we'll do it last year. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Tim Westwood. I grew up listening to his hip hop show on Radio 1.
Same.
So, like, you know, he's very important. No matter what people think of him, he's probably the number one at what he does in the whole of Europe. Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, and once again, people will pay 1,000 people will pay £5 to see Tim Westwood on his own.
I've personally paid more than that. I've paid £10-15 to go to a club and just see him. Yeah. So to pay £5,
so I'm hoping there's like, you know, I think we're thinking that'll be around 20,000 capacity each day, and I just like to believe that if everyone has the same mentality as you, we're in a good place, and, you know, long live LIMF post 2018 as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so just to wrap up the interview, obviously there's a few artists that aren't announced yet on the lineup, and obviously including the Lymph Academy. So what are your plans for Lymph Academy?
Well, the Lymph Academy is obviously, like, I'm sure you know if you've ever read anything about Lymph, it's such an important project within what we do at Lymph and what I do personally. The idea of giving talented artists a chance to not just perform but also have, you know, development and investments and stuff. So the Lymph Academy will continue for 2018 to 2019. We are actually not going to do a Lymph Academy stage at Lymph this year. What we're going to do is a new music stage, of which some of the Lymph Academy this year will perform as part of.
Right.
and that's it. It's been well, because you think about some of the people we've showcased or developed over the last couple of years. A lot of the exciting artists from the city came through. So you got Taya, you got Mike Lowry, you got Little Grace, you got Katie Alex, you got Zambolo, you got Sub Blue, you got Ellen and Nelly, you got Lumen, you got a lot of these artists that we consider the next wave of Liverpool music talents that are all getting signed or signing publishing deals or touring. A lot of them have came through the academy. So to me, the academy is a no-brainer to keep going. And then, there's other artists that, I really like that are emerging, that haven't had a relationship with the academy. So I went to the stage that was dedicated to that. And then we've got some more people for main stage to announce, especially on the Sunday, which I'm excited about. We've got some more DJs to announce, which I'm excited about. So it's it's a handful of names, 10 to 15 names that we're going to announce. But I think it's quite important. So I believe we're going to try and do that before the end of this month as well.
Great. Well, I'll definitely be looking out for that. So where can people buy the tickets and find out more online, social media, and the website and that kind of thing?
It's just LIM Festival. So it's just Liverpool International Music, LIM Festival, and then that's across all platforms really. And tickets, if you want to be easy and you don't want to go from our website, just go straight to Ticket Quarter and the tickets are there. But I must say the £5 tickets are limited, so once we sell out of the first initial 50% of it, the price will go up, not loads, but it's going to go up. And then obviously if there's any tickets on the door, it will be up. But I just, at the moment, knowing what the sales figures were today already, I don't think there's going to be any on the door, so I wouldn't wait till the 21st of July to try and get a ticket. It might be dodgy.
Yeah, well, I think with the level of artists that you've got and the price, even with the price increase, it's definitely worth it. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there. So thank you very much for the interview. I think it needs to be commended what you're doing. More people need to be, doing it very selfless. So obviously wish you the best with it, and I'll definitely be there.
And I'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
You there?
Thank you very much.
You there?